I think it's fair to say the Statue of Liberty in New York City is going to be screwed soon.
You see this? New mayor gets sworn in and boom, everything goes to hell. I'm the statue. I'm supposed to stand still. Not today. Yeah, fuck this
Yep, as a lot of people are saying, you know what, we're not going to be too happy in New York City as a Muslim socialist just took over as Florida realtors are celebrating. Now, what led to this major kind of political transformation of the biggest, most important city, according to a lot of people in America? Well, I think that is worth talking about in an honest, earnest, frank way, where I think it's going to be a tough conversation, but a very needed one that we're going to have in this particular video, as I think there's a very important email, specifically from Peter Thiel to Mark Zuckerberg, that highlights what has been in the works for a very long time as the CEO of Palantir, the man running the Total Information Awareness CIA program that, of course, was originally pushed away because it violated too much privacy. That was privatized. Now is coming out and saying, there deserves to be a big conversation about what's happening here, the transformation that just happened in New York City, and its larger economic, social consequences that are dealing with the youth of this country that more and more will be radicalized and moving towards leftist, communistic, socialistic ideas that I think are a major threat, not just against civil society, but, of course, many people's existences, if history ever is a learning lesson of what actually happens here. We're going to be going over that and a lot more all here on this independent media broadcast. And if you appreciate these type of more honest and frank conversations about what's really going on, subscribe, click the notification button, because seeing a lot of these kind of self-hating white women who have been propagandized by modern media to hate themselves, to hate white men specifically, come out and talk about how all these crusty white people are bad and they need to embrace multiculturalism. This says the demographic of New York City is changing very dramatically, just like this country is highlighting this kind of move and shift away from capitalism, from the founding notions of this country, from this type of existence that we had for a very long time that created too much of good times, as I would say that the system that we have taken for granted for has been corrupted itself. And therefore, people are looking for alternatives and solutions to it. As Florida realtor just came out and said that her phone has been ringing nonstop since socialist Zohran Mamdani won the New York City election.
Okay, y'all, I'm not going to lie. I did not think exactly this was going to happen. I thought this guy was going to win in New York City. I thought that our market was going to pick up, but I didn't think it was going to happen like the next morning. I'm like, okay, my sellers like settle down. I don't think they're just going to come, racing down
And they do. Why? Because there's going to be very big dramatic changes in places like New York City where taxes are going to go up. Places like Florida are promising to get rid of taxes. Now, why is Florida able to get rid of taxes? Well, a lot of the wealth, a lot of the finance, a lot of the big money players from New York City are saying, you know what? Why should I be taxed? Why should my wealth be taken away from me? I'm just going to go to Florida, where there are now initiatives, and there's going to be a ballot here in Florida that, if it gets 60% of the vote, will get rid of property taxes. And it probably will pass, since vast majority of people in Florida are people who own properties. Again, there's some urban city areas, but you look at Florida, and there's a lot of retired older people that just don't want to pay property taxes anymore. That's a big sum of the population, and it probably will be passing. All of this is happening as Donald Trump pretty much should be getting the wake-up call, the cold water on its face, saying, yeah, this is a kind of indicator of what is going to be happening during the midterms. Now, I know some people in the right are saying, oh, doesn't matter, they were left to say. I think it does, because it does highlight this major shift towards the left that isn't just the moderate left, the radical left. And if we look at our kind of political spectrum, Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton in the 1990s were talking about far-right talking points, and they were seen as the leftist liberal Democrats. The political goalpost has been shifted dramatically, and it's moving further and further left, and it's going to continue to do so as Donald Trump's strategy now is to get rid of the filibuster, because he says, listen, they're going to get rid of it anyway. We're going to pass voter ID, and when we have national voter ID, after we get rid of the filibuster, we're going to finally be able to prevent this major kind of Democratic landslide that a lot of people predict happening in the midterms. Now, will this actually be a successful plan? I do not know, but I think we are fooling ourselves if we're not having a real serious conversations about inflation, especially with the debt going up dramatically. As, of course, Mike Johnson today specifically talked about how, the food prices, they're going to be adjusted towards inflation, which means prices are going to go up.
The economists have shown food prices always go up. There's an inflationary level that's built into grocery prices.
Can you guarantee that under President-elect Trump, under this Republican Congress, that grocery prices will in fact come down?
Oh, I don't think there's any question about that.
Listen, there's big job cuts. There's Donald Trump coming out and declaring during one of his speeches, hey, grocery prices are way down.
What's happening? Grocery prices are way down, and Walmart, what's happening?
I don't think so. Listen, this is an uncomfortable truth, but we need to fact check this, and I don't see it myself. A lot of other people don't see it themselves. Tim Pool came out and says, Trump's not right here. I agree with him. Now, Thomas Massie, congressman who has been a thorn in Donald Trump's side, that Donald Trump has been spending a lot of time and resources trying to get rid of, which I think is a big waste of time. I think we're better cooperating and working with this big umbrella of Republicans instead of trying to divide and fight and conquer each other, which has been happening, which some people say is a plot, maybe by the leftists, maybe by the CIA-controlled liberal woke type of ideology that is still in control of some of these algorithms that's given us these echo chambers that's highlighting and propping up this kind of infighting, which is self-destructive. But again, Donald Trump, as I've been saying, is wasting a lot of time and resources attacking Thomas Massie. He should be in Virginia. His focus should be in Pennsylvania. His focus should be on helping a lot of the people that will be representing right-wing conservative capitalistic values. Meanwhile, a lot of the attention has sadly been on foreign countries. Thomas Massie responded to this by saying grocery prices are not way down. The only way to reverse inflation is to quit spending more money than we bring in, which means we must cut spending. The big, beautiful bill increased spending, and it did, and now the government ran out of money. We inflated the national debt by $1 trillion in 70 days. Donald Trump has never been a fiscal conservative, but if there ever was a time for him to brush off this kind of fiscal conservatism and to bring back maybe Elon Musk and Doge to cut more fraud, waste, and abuse and to cut more government, this would be it. Government is way too big. It is way too powerful. And if he is going to have a successful legacy, he needs to fix this major economic disaster that is impending on all of us. As we have the latest job numbers showing how U.S. employers announced 153,000 job cuts in October, marking a 175% surge and the highest for any October since 2003, which is big because the economy usually props up during the holiday season. That's when extra workers are brought in. That's when people are given overtime. That's when people are being given bonuses. And now more and more people are just being fired. U.S. employer announced 150,000 plus job cuts. Major job cuts. Major economic problems. As of course now there's a lot of pressure, specifically on a lot of people who got car loans. There's a lot of pressure with a lot of people who have credit card debt. That just reached an all-time high of $1.2 trillion. As the American dream, according to Sean Davis, is completely unreachable for the overwhelmingly majority of people under 40. Does anyone in the GOP have a plan to address this? To release millions from the debt slavery of a worthless college education. That's the issue here. And Alex Karp of Palantir specifically addressed this, and his comments were very pointed. And this is the guy running the Total Information information awareness program. We're going to play his clip because he had some very interesting. We're going to get into this Peter Thiel, Mark Zuckerberg email, which also highlights what's kind of happening here because it's only going to be exacerbated. And you didn't need to be a genius to see this, as of course we've been predicting and talking about this for a very long time. Specifically looking at the Scrooge, which is the U.S. Federal Reserve banking system. Before playing that clip, getting into the email, doing all that, we just quickly wanted to remind you, son, get a shirt on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. We just launched our Don't Try to New York, our Florida. I think that's a more accurate statement. As a former New Yorker that has moved to Florida, it's a beautiful state. I love it. And I, of course, am not voting for Democrats. Okay? There's a lot of New Yorkers that are fleeing it, and this is why Florida has been overwhelmingly red. It used to be a purple state. You remember that whole Bush-Gore kind of debacle? Yeah, that doesn't happen anymore, as there are a lot more Republicans living in the state here. A lot more Republicans that will vote for more tax cuts that will fortify Florida's position as probably now a major capital hub in the world. I love Florida, and I'm going to be getting this shirt, even though I'm a New Yorker. Some people say I'm a hypocrite. I don't care. I love Florida. It is the best state in the union. Texas just likes to copy our homework all the time. I don't know why they keep doing that. It's kind of infuriating to, but hey, we lead by example, and this is why it's time to get this shirt. The shirt that I'm wearing right now, you could also get on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. Fauci lied. People died. You want to find that shirt? You just type in Fauci, and then bada bing, bada boom. It is right here. As soon as you pull it up. Long sleeve, $29, $30 for this one that just came out. Great t-shirt, great way to spark conversation, meet like-minded people, and also find your tribe, which creates social currency, which I cannot say is more important than ever. Now, Sean Davis goes, millions of people are debt slaves to a worthless college education. Is it possible to raise a family on one income? Nope. To live in a nation of people who share their history, culture, traditions, and religion? Nope. Or is it just going to be mass immigration, worthless currency, and foreign wars? That's the question. That's the trajectory. As, of course, the age of U.S. first home-time owners has surged to 40 years of age. The medium age was 33 back in 2021. It was 29 in 1981. Now, the prices of homes and property keep going up. Why? Because the game is rigged. The Federal Reserve does secret bailouts to the tunes of trillions of dollars to private international foreign banks. They're giving it to BlackRock, State Streets, that's buying up the real estate. Mass migration is coming in, increasing the price of housing, decreasing the cost of wages. And Alex Karp, the CEO of Palantir, has actually been calling that out. I played a previous video of him 2 days ago saying those same almost exact lines, which are now universal truths here that a lot of people, especially on the left, refuse to recognize and understand. As, of course, this is what Alex Karp had to say about Zohran Mamdani.
And I think the average, Ivy League grad voting for this mayor is highly annoyed that their education is not that valuable. And the person down the street who knows how to drill for oil and gas who's moved to Texas has a more valuable profession. And I think that annoys the fuck out of these people.
Yeah, it does. As of course, a lot of these people are being scammed. A lot of these people are being put into perpetual debt for college education as government subsidizes it more and more. This is why, in part, called all the funding. Why are we funding all these crazy, insane, woke leftist universities that create this hive mind woke virus that's making people hate their country, their legacy, their heritage, and their culture? We are creating and feeding the beast ourselves. And a lot of these people, instead of being told, yeah, go to college, get these degrees, and a lot of them are now women, they have these degrees, and they're like, okay. And they're like, okay, we're in debt. Okay, what's next? Yeah, you're a slave now to this corporate system, and you got to serve us. And they're like, some of these women are like, can I stay home? Can I raise the family? Why do I got to work? Yeah, you have to, because of the fraudulent type of system that David Rockefeller proposed and pushed on for doubling the worker base so he could lower the wages as he was an industrialist, all the way back as, of course, he had his fingerprints on starting the modern feminist movement. Now, again, some good things from the feminist movement, but overall, people need to understand that this was a larger Ponzi scheme by the major kind of corporation and oligarch type of powers out there. Alex Karp also had this to say about Zohran Mamdani, talking about that we are going to have now a complete disaster, and I don't think he's wrong.
You always have to ask is the person persuasive or are they right? And across all sorts of movements, political, I mean, you see this on the regressive part of the Democratic Party. We're about to probably have a complete disaster. I was born in New York. But if you actually said, do these things actually work? Everyone's like, of course I'm not going to vote for that. But instead they ask, does it work in theory? The theoreticians, you have to ask, how often have you been right?
Yeah. And listen, this is a guy with AI surveillance tech that could probably have predictive programming. Probably does have predictive programming that could look and understand the future and where it's going. As of course now we have this email that Chamat Palikipataya released saying, here's Peter Thiel's email to Mark Zuckerberg, and Anderson in January 2020 predicting socialism, TLDR, too much student debt, and lack of affordable housing keeps young people with negative capital for too long and without a stake in the capitalistic system. They will turn against it. Exactly! We're running Ponzi schemes on top of Ponzi schemes. We have given the financial future of this country to the robber barons that have taken it for themselves and they have run away with it. The rich are richer than ever. That's not capitalism. That's socialism for the rich. Especially with the private Federal Reserve banking system that needs to be addressed along with the debt. And unless it is frickin' addressed with this debt, it's going to continue to wreck and destroy young people that are told, look, you could bet some money and maybe you'll win something. And then when you do, they kick you off of those platforms. And they're like, what kind of system are we living in? Where the only financial future is maybe winning some stupid gambling thing on my frickin' blue wave dopamine destroying type of mind control device that's gamifying, making everything a frickin' lottery. Stop with it. And the Trump administration going into and doing their own little schemes with the betting markets, with the crypto thing, doesn't help this type of understanding. As Mike Cernovich even pointed out, listen, Trump has been serving the donor class. Pretty clear, his first year has been a very donor class focused, with a lot of policies and initiatives that even Charlie Kirk was running to the White House to be like, don't do this, man, stop. And then Trump did it anyway. That needs to be addressed. That needs to stop. We want to have a republic. We want to have capitalism. We actually have to have capitalism and not crony capitalism that keeps taking advantage of the younger and younger people that have less and less economic opportunities that will be more and more radicalized. As of course, Charlie Kirk described this. He saw this when specifically talking about Zohran Mamdani.
The rise of Mamdani should be it's a coming attraction of what is coming next.
Who's Mamdani?
Zohran Mamdani, the Muslim communist that is running for mayor in New York City, who obviously there's a whole rabbit hole we can go down there. He just looks kind of be like central casting and, his ideas are terrible. He wants the city to run the grocery stores, all that. But I think everyone's not everyone, but most people are missing the point of really what this is. This is yet another distress signal by young people to say, hey, if you're not going to fix our life economically, we're going to get very radical politically. Now, let's take a step back. President Trump won the youth vote in many states across the country, in many battleground states. Now, Tucker, 12, 13 years ago when I started Turning Point, if you would have told me that a Republican running for the presidency would be winning the youth vote in Michigan and in Arizona, I'd say, no way. It's an incomprehensible accomplishment of what President Trump was able to do. One of the reasons he was able to win younger voters and younger men, especially in big numbers, is that they were trying to get their leaders' attention. They said, hey, this guy, Donald Trump, he is pledging to go fix our economic anxiety.
And listen, so far, Trump today is like, we'll give you Ozempic for cheaper. I'm like, what? Stop it.
He is loud. He is going to get your attention. Donald Trump was a distress signal by a lot of young people, especially young men, that we're stuck in a credit-centric renter economy. And again, this is what is the rise of Mamdani. It's just another iteration of this, only from the left.
Yep. And listen, lots of people are very unhappy with what's happening. And guess what? This financial storm, it's going to get even bigger. As, of course, we have a lot of people's jobs being cut. And guess what? A lot of those jobs are going to be replaced by AI. A lot of those jobs are going to be replaced by robotics, automation. And a lot of people are going to be like, Gibbs me that. Right here. Gibbs now. And they're going to go to politicians that are going to say, we Gibbs much. Gibbs much here. And the young people are like, yeah, whatever. That's better than the old person that is literally just giving the system to the oligarchs. Right? Donald Trump needs a wake-up call. Donald Trump needs to act on this. And if you agree, share this video. Thank you so much for getting the shirts, supporting independent media. I wouldn't be here. And I think this message is more important than ever. If you agree, get this video out there. A lot of like Trump supporters are like living in this kind of delusion, and I'm watching my friends' shows, and my friends are like, "Yeah, it's all great. Yeah, nothing to see here. The election didn't matter. What happened yesterday didn't matter." I'm like, "You idiots, idiots! You're gonna cause the fall of the republic. What are you doing? Wake up!" I love you guys. Stay tuned for more. All here exclusively on youtube.com/we are